Hi, I'm Russ Ballard, and you're listening to the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast.
Thanks, Russ. And hi, everyone. My name is Ian Street, and a very, very warm welcome to our first Voices podcast. The idea of the podcast is to support and work alongside the Facebook group of the same name, the Voices of Russ Ballard. If you are listening to this and you're not a member, please head over to the page and join us. Now, clearly, I can't send you a link on air. Technology hasn't quite reached that point yet. But search for the Voices of Russ Ballard on Facebook and you will find us. Look forward to having you aboard. Over the coming weeks, the podcast will be covering all things Russ, including interviews, exclusive music, chat, and lots more. And remember, the podcast and the group itself is fully endorsed by the man who gave rock and roll to you and is responsible for well over 100 million records worldwide, Russ Ballard. So let's get started. And now it's time to meet my partner in crime on the podcast, the legend from Germany, Mr. Sven Kramer. Good morning, Sven.
Good morning, Ian.
Yes.
A good friend from Portugal.
I must say that for all those out there in Radio Land that can't see you, you're looking extremely well this morning, dressed in a Russ Ballard t-shirt.
So do you. It's amazing to see. We could be twins.
We could be. And I'm really loving this. I'm really loving this mutual appreciation society between Germany and Portugal.
So it's the very first podcast of the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast, which is great. A premiere.
It is a premiere, and I think what we should do is remind ourselves not remind ourselves, maybe just let some people know what the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast is all about. So, Sven, do you want to kick that off?
Oh, yes, please. The voices are the fans, and this Facebook group set up a couple of weeks ago. That is, we would say, just a good thing for the fans to share their memories. There are so many stories to tell from people out there, and they always wanted to tell their story. But the trouble sometimes with this Facebook world is that you can't be heard. On regular Facebook pages, it seems that all the lovely stories from the individuals they are lost somewhere. And with this group, we just want to give you your voice and tell us your story.
Exactly. That's very well put. I mean, look, obviously we had some great examples of the way we communicate or the way Russ's team communicates with the newsletter, which Sue Robinson has originally set up and works extremely well. So this is here to enhance the original Facebook page and work as an official offering alongside those other communication pieces, I think.
Yeah, I think, well, I can't resist. I must say it, that so a couple of years ago, I think it was 2006, one of my favorite bands, Queen, released an album which was called The Cosmos Rocks. And I think this is the Russ Ballard Cosmos now. We do have the newsletter set up originally in March 2013, such a long time. We do have the Facebook page, which is run by Carol. She's doing also an amazing job. We do have the Instagram. Now we do have the group, the Voices of Russ Ballard. And it was so great to see the contribution from the fans. I mean, they told us so many great stories. They shared all the memorabilia.
Already. And the point is that this is just the tip of the iceberg, because as the members grow, when we're now over at the time of discussing this, we're just over 100, which is good, but I'm sure it's going to grow. I know it's going to grow to something quite significant. And I think that the point of everybody being able to talk to each other from different countries, different time zones, of course, and people sharing their opinions, their memorabilia. There's a gentleman called Roland, otherwise known as the Duke, who is having a fabulous time actually in the group and enjoying himself very much. And we are enjoying his postings as well. Funnily enough, we've been joined by a lot of members from the likes of Graham Bonnet and the Zombies groups recently, and also the tribute to Jim Rodford. But all these that have a synergy with Russ, and that's the whole point. Again, to reiterate, is that the whole point of this is that Russ, Russ's name and his legacy, and is not just his legacy, but because he's doing new music as well. But this goes to as many people as possible, and we share the great, we share the world of Russ Ballard.
Yeah, I think that's it. And
or the cosmos, as you said.
The cosmos.
Indeed. I
I
remember that album. That was Queen and Paul Rogers, wasn't it? So I saw the two.
Yeah, that was with Paul Rogers. And I think what we need to do now is let the fans know they are listening now to our very first podcast, who we are. Okay, we said you are Ian, I am Sven. Ian, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Ladies and gentlemen, a big applause for Ian Street. Hey, cheers!
Well, I'm just like anyone else that's a member on that group, and I was a fan. And in 1972, saw a band called Argent at Croydon Fairfield Hall, which was my local hall. It took them a while to get on stage because, as usual, Rod's organ had all sorts of problems. In that I had about 10 technicians around it trying to sort it out. Probably a slight exaggeration, but then these guys came on stage, and I just remember this guy in a Davy Crockett jacket called Russ Ballard singing "It's Only Money," and I get goose pimples talking about that now, really, because it was like first thing I did afterwards was to try and get a similar jacket in my local stores, but that was a bit crazy. But then literally, I was hooked in terms of Argent initially, and then of course Russ went on to do many other things on a solo basis. So I saw all the Argent gigs with Russ before he left.
Did you got the jacket?
No, I didn't get the jacket, unfortunately. It was such a shame.
What a shame! What a shame!
I did imagine it, but the Holy guitar as well. It just sort of gobsmacked. Nobody else had that. Seeing him on Top of the Pops, singing "Hold Your Head Up" with that, and probably God Gave Rock and Roll to You as well. So and followed him for many years from afar, really, because he was kind of I wouldn't say under the radar, but he was, in terms of like public appearances and concerts. For personal reasons, he didn't do a lot of those over the years. And then fast forward to the Argent reunion when that happened in Victoria Park. I went along to that, squeezed myself at the front, and when he was tuning the guitar, just that's Russ Ballard, my God. And so I was very fortunate enough to meet Russ as well on the subsequent tour, the mini tour that they did in Frome. I happened to be staying in the same place and got talking to him, and such a nice, him and Bob Henry in particular. So it just sort of stemmed from there. I guess my part of the team RGB, apart from talking to Sven at this moment, is I have announced for my sins, and still have to pinch myself, but I actually announced Russ Ballard on stage a couple of times at the Russ Ballard Experience, but also at the Nels concert in London, and perhaps would have done so on the German tour if the German tour had gone ahead, which is very unfortunate. So, but enough about me. Sven, we probably would need a whole podcast to talk about you and what you've done for us over the years. So I'm going to drop some hints like websites and various other creative, taking photographs. I'm talking about album art. We're talking about so much. So please give us a few examples of how you became involved with Russ and what you do.
Ultimately, it's so simple. As you said, I'm just a fan of Russ's music, and I just try to spread the word of Russ. Well, I say we really do well within the team RGB. So it's you, it's Sue, it's Carol, it's Dave, who's always writing his brilliant articles.
Very true.
And he knows so much about Russ and his history and all the releases out there. In my case, it was not a true Russ Ballard album, which I fell in love with. It was very simple, back to the Cosmos Rocks. It was Brian May in 1993, where he released his Live at the Brixton Academy album. Yeah, I had to buy the record, and immediately it was the sound of Since You've Been Gone, which, yeah, was great. And the way Brian, and especially Cozy Powell, his drummer back in the days, created with Since You've Been Gone was great. And I had a look into the liner notes and said, okay, a guy called Russell Ballard wrote this tune. Okay, I need to find out.
Exactly.
Yeah, who's he? I need to find out a little bit more about this Russ Ballard guy. And well, yeah, as I'm living in Germany, the Black Album, what Russ always says, the Voices album, from 1984, and The Fire Still Burns were very popular over here. And he had a good chart success in Germany with both of the albums. I think also supported by Miami Vice some years later. Yeah, I think that was in 1987-ish. Yeah. Well, yeah, these were the first albums I bought, but over all the years I found out it's so difficult to get any valid information about Russ Ballard, especially on the World Wide Web. And
that's probably down to, I think, as I alluded to earlier, we were talking about the way that Russ, went under the radar is probably a nice way of putting it, really, in terms of his PR behind him, perhaps in terms of his output, etc. Because the product kept coming. You had albums like The Seer and albums like that, but probably outside of Germany, not too much publicity, etc. I think it's fair to say.
It was very, very interesting. Back in the early days of the WWW, at some point in 2003, I was searching something on eBay, and then all of a sudden, I saw Russ Ballard live in Villa Bajo. And yeah, I could buy tickets. I said, where the hell is Villa Bajo? I never heard of Villa Bajo. Maybe it's close to Villarriba, somewhere in Spain. I have no idea. But I bought tickets. I had no idea where I had to travel to. And at the end of the day, it was close to Augsburg in Germany. So I had to travel 700 miles to see Russ Ballard. I was 15 minutes too late. Russ was on stage. It was amazing. I went straight to the front of stage and told everybody, look, guys, I was nearly wasting over 7 hours of my time in my car just to see this guy. So can I please go into the first row? For the local newspaper, I gave an interview that night. Also very funny.
Only you, Sven, will do that. Only you. That's great.
That was good. So, but then, remember, I was 15 minutes too late. Then all of a sudden, after in total another 1 hour, 15 minutes, Russ sat on stage. Sorry, guys, my voice is away. We need to stop here now. I said, really? Oh my God. Yeah.
You haven't told me that story, yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. In total, it was 90 minutes. He was on stage. It was fantastic, really good. So yeah, I was back in my car for another 700 miles that night.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did actually fly. Although both concerts went ahead, I think at least I flew back for the reunion gigs where I saw 2 or 3 of those, Southampton and Frome that I mentioned, but also the Russ Ballard experience once as well, and also the evening with Russ Ballard in central London. And then finally, that sadly will be the last time Argent played on stage at the Aylesbury Theatre, where you had a unique performance by the Zombies and Argent, the original Argent, where Russ was on stage, playing a black Stratocaster, by the way. Didn't play the Holy guitar, which was amazing. And that was a charity concert for Derek Timms' son, who sadly had an accident on a trampoline and was going to be in a wheelchair for probably the rest of his life. So all the guys there were performing, and that unfortunately was the last time that Argent performed on stage as a unit, the original lineup, probably forever, I guess.
So true, so true. So thank God Russ is still around, and likes doing the gigs. I mean, it took me some more years. It was then back 2007 where I've seen Russ again live on stage. It was again, of course, in Germany. It was close to Bremen, a small village called Worpswede, and that was damn good. It was more or less like a big pub, so very comfy for everybody. a lot of beer, and Russ did a full set, 2 hour long, and after that concert, I had the very first time the chance to chat with himself, with Mr. B, and then Mr. B came out, and the only question I had to ask was, where have you been all the years?
Yeah.
Fans are waiting for you.
That's a fair question. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a very fair question. And he gave me such a so him answer. Yeah, I would call it a so him answer. He looked at me and said, look, I had to watch my kids grow up.
Yes.
Amazing. Russ Ballard. That's so Russ Ballard.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Funnily enough, I haven't introduced myself in 2007 saying, hey, look, I'm Sven. I am a diehard fan of yours. No. I'm collecting everything. But he and me, we both remember that night.
Yeah,
we both remember that night.
Well, he does have a memory. He does have a memory like nobody on earth, really.
Yeah. It's amazing, and I think that was the night where I thought about, hey, look, there's nothing on the internet, no good information except the Wikipedia, and there was.
Yeah,
a website,
a very basic website. I remember it.
The black one. It was just set up for the Book of Love tour, and I think it was 3 years ago when I planned to start a website. All I had was just a logo, which came to my mind, and I said, okay, look, Russ Ballard Music, add a little .com behind it. Sounds good to me, and it was planned to be just a fan project. So something what Ian and I are doing now with the Voices of Russ Ballard and this funny podcast. So
because you did the logo, for that as well, didn't you? For the Voices, you've done the logo, the Holy Guitar, I recall.
Yeah, and the Holy Guitar. The shame is that the listeners can't see us now. We both are wearing exactly the same shirts with the Holy Guitar on it. So we are going. We must do some merchandise with the Holy Guitar. It's an amazing instrument. But soon after starting the website, I thought about, hey, let's share this with Russ, and I said, look, Russ, I think this is your next or your new website. It will be finished hopefully soon, fingers crossed. That's it. He liked the idea, and then we set up the russballardmusic.com website, and we just try to deliver good information to the fans. There's Russ's story on the website, his story in his own words, his releases as a solo artist, and it gives just good information to the fans.
I think I would honestly say as well, it was sparing your blushes for a moment, that the website itself is has got so much information on it. I mean, it really has got, and I know you've built it up to where it is today, from where you just initially described. But in terms of what if someone goes on there and looks at it, the discography, or looks at there's so much, there's the gigs, there's photographs, there's so much information. So anybody listening to this should head over to russballardmusic.com. Is that right?
That's correct.
And
Yes.
and check it out. And please give Sven some feedback. Give us some feedback as well. Put that in the group as to what could be done better. Not a lot, I would say, from seeing it, but it's incredibly informative. And tell us about how it came about to do the album art and photographs relating to Russ's latest album. It's good to be here.
So we did it in 2019, of course, as the album was released in 2020. I just wanted to have a couple of days off, and a very, very lovely guy from Poland wanted to have an interview with Russell and with Bob. And so I joined them.
That's Bob Henry, of course. Yeah,
of course, our very own Bob Henry.
I'm sure there's no one listening to this who doesn't know who Bob Henry is. But, right. I'm just doing my yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. And so we had a lovely afternoon with the guy from Poland and another guy from Poland these guys were just doing their interviews for a brilliant rock magazine. And on that afternoon, I took some photos. I took some other recordings. Maybe we will unveil something of it during this podcast. That's a good chance.
Here we have Voices of Russ Ballard exclusive, Sven revealing other material that's going to be released.
Yeah, nobody has ever heard it.
No.
And short after that visit, it was Russ asking me, "Hey Sven, there's the new album coming." He's always so polite. I was just asking, "Oh, I mentioned to BMG that you could do this. Is this okay for you?" I said, "Of course this is okay. If you want me to take the pictures, I'm more than happy to do this." I flew over to the United Kingdom again sometime later, end of September, early October, I think, with 2 warm and sunny days, and we had just a very good time together. We did so many shots. Did
it get how was it those times where you've taken about the 20th photograph of the same pose of the holy guitar outside in the by the trees or by wherever it was, and how was it in those moments where those times can get boring? Was it like that, or
it was never boring. We just had so much fun. It was, as said, 2 great days together. And when I'm over to Russ, or when Russ and I, when we meet up, it's just it's meeting family. He's family to me. And I arrived at his home. The lovely Danny opened the door. Russell was there. We had a cup of coffee together. We said, "Hey, let's go outside. Let's have a walk." And I have my camera equipment with me. Russ had a rough idea what he wanted to have. So there's an old farm building close to his home, and he said, "Why not take some pictures there? There are some great spots, and it's a very old building." Said, "Yeah, why not?" This is why we sometimes, when you have a look on the "It's Good to Be Here" album cover, we sometimes call it now the Bricky album.
Of course, It's Good to Be Here is still available in all good record shops and online, by the way, if anybody has.
That's it. Yeah. And where this is the Bricky album, the Life album is the Blocky album, as this is so many squares and blocks on it. But it was a great day with Russ. We were walking through the fields. He had his holy guitar with him, and believe it or not, not 1 second was boring. We had just a great time, and we told so many funny stories. I can't tell all of them in this podcast. No, never, ever.
I'm sure all our listeners would be really envious of you listening to all these stories, Sven.
I certainly am. So.
No?
Apologies,
Yeah, that's all right.
everybody.
But we'll
There are
move.
some.
We'll move swiftly on. We won't press you on that. Okay, we won't press you on that.
There are still some secrets between Russell and me, but it was great, and it was not a classic photo shooting. You know, when you do a classic photo shooting with an artist, most of the time you invite the artist into a studio, and you have a whiteboard there, a white wall, and say, okay, can you stand here, and can you jump there, and can you do this and that, and blah blah blah. I can't work like this. I just said, okay, come on, mate, let's go outside, let's go into the sun. Tell me a little bit what you've done over the last couple of weeks. How's the work in the studio? And during he was telling me the stories, I was just doing the photo shots, which was great.
Yeah. And it was definitely
very
good.
Natural.
It was definitely good to be there, I guess, Sven.
Oh yeah, it was good to be there. So that's really that's amazing. After that, after It's Good to Be Here was finished, and the tour was planned through Europe.
Yeah.
We both thought, so Russ and I thought it would be great to have something for the fans, some merch. We were talking about merchandise, and then he said, "Oh, Sven, I do have a live album. What about the live album?" So, well, yeah, that sounds very good. So his job was making the music. His son Christian has mixed the album, and it sounds really amazing. It's an impressive piece of work. And my job was just getting the designs ready and getting the CDs itself ready, that it looks really good and it gives something to the fans. So this is made with a lot of love, I would say, yeah. It was planned to sell them on.
It is a brilliant album, I have to say. There's so many of those tracks that to listen to live versions of those songs, like The Fire Still Burns and I Can't Hear You No More. Those two in particular, the way they build up from the start, sort of like a sort of a riff, and then the band comes in. It's very good. So, are any of those left for sale, Sven? Should we be reminding people about that, or?
I made a couple of more available now. I think that's a good treat for the fans. So simply pop over to russballardmusic.com, click on the music section, and below the artwork of the Book of Love Live album, you see an order form. It's very, very simple. Everything is handmade. Everything is made with love. So it's me shipping these albums out. It's me making sure you receive your album, even in these difficult COVID times.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the reason why the tour was cancelled. There was no chance doing this, and nobody wants to put the band on the risk of getting CV-19. I think that was a wise decision. But
I mean, it only happened 2 or 3 days before everything was due to happen, because you and I spoke on the phone, and I remember you calling me and me stopping the car and listening. Oh my God. Yeah.
It was 2 days. Yeah.
But it was the right decision, of course. Yeah.
And it was just the final rehearsal of the band. And I rang Russ and said, "Hello, Russ, how are you doing?" "Yeah, we're just in the studio with the band and we sound better than ever." And then it was me saying, "Okay, you don't need to come over. Sorry, we have to cancel."
But on the positive note, things are underway to reorganise the UK dates. In fact, the UK dates, I think, have already been rescheduled. The 100 Club, I think, has already been rescheduled. And Germany as well for April 2021. So look out for that. Or everybody listening to this that wants to have a chance to see Russ live. Yeah.
Germany is likely to be in May 2021.
Okay.
And it will be great for all of us when we are able to attend concerts again. That's great. Something to look forward to. It's long overdue that Russ is back on stage. Exactly. I mean, also very funny story where you and me, so Ian and I, have seen him. That was in Estoril 2019. That was such a great night. We were surrounded by friends.
Unbelievable night, yeah. All the ultras were there as well, all the Russ Ballard ultras. But actually, most of them. Actually, so there were a couple missing. But that was a great night, and to see the passion of the Portuguese people for us was unbelievable. And again, we hope that's going to be not rearranged, but we'll have another opportunity to see him in Portugal, which will be great, especially as I live here.
That will be good. That will be good for you, but I'm very, very sure that he will return to Portugal, maybe to Lisbon or to Estoril. Although I must say I've seen him in 2013 playing in Lisbon Coliseo. Of course, the venue was packed, and it's a great, great venue. But nothing can beat the Casino Estoril.
No,
that was such an amazing place. I've never been to I don't want to say a concert hall. That is the casino is so much more. But I've never been to a place like the Casino Estoril before, with 1 million or 10 million LED lights in it.
Exactly. There's lots of pictures. Wow. There's lots of pictures for everybody who's interested as well. That they're probably on the website, are they, Sven? Pictures of Estoril. Yeah. So again, another reason to head over to the website. So I think, Sven, I was saying at the beginning, you've done so much for Team RGB that we probably needed a whole podcast to discuss exactly what you've done. So that was really good to hear you outline that. I think what we're going to be doing in terms of the podcast going forward, and really we're going to be doing in a moment, will be interviewing, really going back in time to where it all started for us as a member of the Roulettes, which was Adam Faith's backing band in the early 60s. And we're going to be interviewing a great friend of his, and also one of that, a great character, somebody with lots and lots of stories that he's promised to tell us, John Mod Rogan. And I'm really excited about that. On you?
I really look forward, chatting with Mod. We thought we would never be able to see the Roulettes live on stage, but it happened. Back in 2018, where the first party was organized, the RB Experience, and it was Sue Robinson, and our dear Sue is taking care of the newsletter, that all of the fans receive the newsletter each and every month. And she's a great party organizer.
Yeah, and everybody had the opportunity to register to go to that event in the UK, didn't they? Who was a member of the newsletter.
Yeah, it was just for newsletter members. Yeah. And I can only highly recommend, sign up for the newsletter. It's great. Simply send an email to russb.news@hotmail.co.uk and you receive the newsletter with the latest news. Yep. You can also sign in via the website russballardmusic.com. And it's a very simple system. The newsletter always arrives first in your inbox and is not on the website. It's always 1 month later on the website, as we do have a massive archive in there. Yeah,
I was going to say, if as you've just mentioned, if you want to look at previous newsletters to see the detail in there, you can go on the website and you can view the details there. Well, that's quite a few, so that's really
correct.
Good. So
and this is where the people can read about the RB Experience, where the Roulettes were back on stage after 55 years.
Afghanistan, Iraq, Sudan, Darfur, Zimbabwe, the fire still burns.
Sven, that was a version of The Fire Still Burns, a song that we really love, a song that I really love, I must say, but perhaps a version that some of our listeners have not heard, especially the way it builds up with the guitar. So do you want to tell everybody exactly where that's from, and more importantly, how you can get hold of it? How can you buy it?
Yes, of course. I'm not getting tired to tell the world about the fantastic Book of Love live album.
Absolutely.
It's the very first proper Russ Ballard live recording. And it's available through the russballardmusic.com website. So just go to music section, click on the cover artwork, and there you see the order form. Yeah, it's a brilliant album. I agree with you. Fire Still Burns is an amazing track. And I might have said it before some days ago, it is Russ Ballard at his best, especially the guitar part. Russ was always very underrated as a guitarist for whatever reason. And with the Fire Still Burns, he shows what a fantastic guitarist he is. So buy one of the albums.
Just on that, on the guitar thing, I totally agree with you. And that was identified by Adam Faith when Russ was 16, because I've got his book, Adam Faith's book, and I read it some time ago. And the bit that I picked out was that he actually said what a great guitarist Russ was at 16 years old. So
amazing.
And now he's 45, so he's still a great guitarist. So sorry.
Yes, he is. He's one of the greatest. But anyway, enough of our stories, enough of us. I think that is exactly. Now we've told the people out there what the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast is about. We told the people out there who we are. They know enough of us now. Think so.
I think so too. Yeah.
What else, Ian? What else can the listeners expect from the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast? Can you give us a brief outlook? What will happen in the future?
I'd be more than happy to. And basically, our commitment is that every month we're going to bring to you an interview. We're going to have a special guest from the world of Russ Ballard, and that starts from next month. Podcast number 2, this is number 1. Podcast number 2 will feature none other than John Mod Rogan, one of the Adam Faith backing band, the Roulettes, that Russ started with way back in the 60s. And he's got stories to tell that will make your hair curl. Even yours, Sven.
Oh, that's amazing. I look forward to it.
So don't miss it. In fact, here's a quick soundbite to just to whet the appetite of what's to come.
I was fucking tap dancing on the stage, like we're a rock group, you know what I mean?
Hi, I'm Russ Ballard, and you're listening to the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast.
So looking forward to Mod, Sven, and lots to look forward to over the coming months. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we actually got Russ to spend some time on here talking to us, and maybe taking some questions from some of our listeners, some of our members of the Voices of Russ Ballard Facebook group? Wouldn't that be good? Maybe we should work on that, Sven. Maybe we should work on that.
Yeah.
Question. What do you think?
Agree. We should invite Russell to spend some time with us. And it's a good opportunity. Why not ask the fans for questions they never asked before? I mean, to be honest, we all know why the holy guitar has holes in it. And we all know why Russell left Argent and so on. But I'm very, very sure that some of the listeners out there, so maybe hundreds of them, might come up with great questions we like to ask to Mr. B.
Absolutely. So let's work on that one. Maybe a Christmas special, who knows? But in the meantime, I think we look forward to Mod Rogan of the Roulettes exclusively on the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast, which runs in parallel, Sven, doesn't it, with the Faces group of the same name, the Voices of Russ Ballard. So please type the name into Facebook and you'll find us. We'd love to have you aboard if you're not already, and tell your friends about it. So that's probably about it. That's probably about it for the end of the first podcast. We've had a great time doing this for you. I hope everybody's enjoyed it, and we look forward to speaking to you, to everybody again next month. So it's goodbye from me, Ian.
And a goodbye from me, Sven. And I'll tell you what, I give you a little treat for today. Another sound snippet of The Fire Still Burns, building up the great guitar solo after. And after the song, Russell will close off this podcast. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.
Hi, I'm Russ Ballard, and you're listening to the Voices of Russ Ballard podcast.